weeks ago, we came back from Uplift, which is a church camp in Searcy, Arkansas, and it has always been the highlight of my summer. We would go there and we have classes and lessons and free time, and we just spend a bunch of time with people who share the same interests as us, and it's really just a lot of fun. Now this year, I wasn't as excited as I would have been because two of my really good friends weren't going anywhere. They graduated out of church, and so I was really nervous going to the trip. The only person I really knew going was Chris, and honestly it was one of the best experiences of my life for many reasons, and mostly because me and Chris goofed off the absolutely entire time. And we competed in a basketball tournament, and we convinced the person running the tournament to give us a 3-round bye. So we started off in the semifinals wearing nurses' scrubs. No idea why, and we lost a pretty close game. It was 21-0. But overall, it was a lot of fun, and I really encourage anyone who hasn't been to try to go before. Before I start my lesson tonight, I want to tell a story. A friend of mine was coming out of church one time when he was grabbed in the arm by a preacher. The preacher shook his hand, and after a few words of small talk, the preacher said, "Son, you need to join the Lord's army." The man replied, "But I already am in the Lord's army." The preacher waits a second and replies, "Then how come I only see you on Easter and Christmas?" The man steps back and thinks for a second, and then replies, "I'm in the Secret Service." Tonight's lesson is about taking up your cross. You hear this phrase a lot. It's tossed around in a lot of different situations. But what does it really mean? What is it really saying? The Bible has a story in Luke chapter 9 about Jesus feeding the 5,000, and that's the point where I'm really going to start off tonight. Now, I know everyone knows this story. My little sister can almost tell the story better than I can. But basically, Jesus is going to a city named Bethesda, and in this city, he wants to retreat with the 12 apostles. Now, the 12 apostles and Jesus basically toured all throughout where they lived, and they would have crowds of people swarming them at all times. And this was supposed to be a getaway, a retreat. But that didn't happen, and 5,000 men were following behind them. And after Jesus spoke with them and talked to them, the apostles said, "We need to retreat, we need to get away." Jesus said, "No, they need to be fed." And the apostles said, "We only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But Jesus said, "Have everyone line up and come in, and they'll be fed." And Jesus performed a miracle by feeding the men. Now, the miracle is amazing, but I want to look at it from a different light. I want to look at it from the perspective of Jesus having to prove himself as the Messiah. Now, I did a little bit of research, and the person who I heard this lesson from originally told me this, and everybody viewed Jesus as a revolutionist, as someone who's going to change the norm, about how someone coming in and having a new law, a new set of rules, a new leader, and people were going to go up in arms for or against Jesus. So the 5,000 men were mostly comprised of men going looking for a fight. They went in expecting to hear about overthrow, about revolution, but instead they heard about love and peace and forgiveness. Now, as I said earlier, tonight's lesson is about taking up your cross. Now, the cross you carry is comprised of many different things. I believe that your cross is your whole life, all of your successes, all of your failures, your situation. Everything is your cross. I've heard people talking about the cross being an addiction or a constant sin. I believe it is so much more than that. Now, I want to make a comparison of our life to Jesus' death. Let's think back in the Bible to Jesus' death. He carried a physical cross up to where he was killed. As he was walking up, he was being beaten. He was having insults thrown at him. And when he got to the top, he offered himself as a sacrifice to redeem us all of our sins. Now, after that, he was then resurrected from the dead. Now, think about your life in Jesus' shoes. We carry our cross, our life, every single day. We walk for our whole life. We are on a constant journey. We're being harassed. We're being beaten down by the world. And it makes our cross heavier every step of the way. Once we get to the top, the ultimate conclusion, death, we, at the end of the day, are offering ourselves as a sacrifice. Now, whether you use your cross in a good way or positive way determines if you are going to heaven or to hell. believe that taking up your cross means you're being subject to die for God and what he taught. Now, taking up your cross is easy because all of us are doing it at all times. But whether you use it in the right way or the positive way really determines everything. I believe that there are two main ways you can make sure you and your cross are going in the right direction. The first way is to know what really matters. Now, I know me being a 17-year-old male, I don't always have the best judgment. As most of you know, we start school next Monday, and my first amen was a joke. Now for school, I'm taking my first AP classes I've ever taken, and I have to read 5 books, 3 essays, 2 memoirs, and do 2 packets full of work. And I haven't even opened a page of that book or touched a pencil to a piece of paper. Now, I know that my parents don't know that yet, so. However, instead of doing this work, I'm happy to say that I'm now really good at solitaire, and I can beat Minesweeper in 25 seconds, so that's a pretty good one. Now, this is a real-life example of not knowing what truly matters. Education is very important, but my views are being clouded by distractions. I will be the first to admit that at points in my life, I have lost sight of what truly matters, but I'm working on this every day to make sure this doesn't happen again. Many of you know who Steve Jobs is. He was a brilliant businessman, and he had a net worth of almost $10 billion from selling a white box with that little apple on it to millions of people worldwide. He accomplished things in his life that many people couldn't even dream of. He actually was very quiet and oddly reserved, and anyone who knew him personally knew that he was very frail, very sickly, and people could sense something was off about him. Steve Jobs was also a very open atheist. Somebody who had everything missed the one thing that actually mattered. And I feel like we need to take pride in knowing we know what matters, but also we need to use that in the right way. The second and most important way is to dedicate your life to God. On March 1st, 2005, I was baptized. I was in 5th grade, and it was a rainy Wednesday night. And to show how really long ago it was, back then I had a crush on Shelby Hunter, and I was heartbroken that she couldn't come and see me. This morning, Harold talked about being baptized back in the 1700s when he was growing up. And I can speak for him when I say that not a day goes by where both are glad we made that ever important decision. Giving your life to Christ through baptism is one of the best decisions you ever made. It is not the only step towards God, though. Whereas it is the most important, that's not it. You can't say, I'm baptized, I'm good. It's not a free pass. You still need to live your life every day by taking up your cross and a positive example. As Ryan has said, the invitation song is number 68 tonight. But before I go, I want to leave you with a quote. The teacher at Uplift who presented this lessons to me, his name was Travis Eschlinger, and he lives in Florida. And he said, don't desire to have our own heart and mind, but for God to have your heart. If you want to take the first steps in taking up your cross tonight, we'll be forward and ready to talk to you and help you make that decision. If your cross is also too heavy, let's lay it out in front of the church, and we will all help in light